Friday the 13th. May it be a lucky day for you. Welcome inside our home away from home. It is the Tbred studio adjacent to the paddock here at Woodbine. Elisa Blow, who looks very festivus today.
Thank you.
And my name is Jeff Bratz. I got some Christmas.
Yeah, you're somewhat. You said last night you might wear a sweater.
Well, but here's what happened. You want to hear my heartbreaking story from today? I had this beautiful, it's like a wool sweater.
Yes.
And I go to put it on, and it looks like some moths, like there's holes in it.
What? Jeffrey, that's awful.
I know,
that's
I cried.
Christmas nightmare.
It was a really nice
And I already got you your
sweater.
present, otherwise I could go out and get you a sweater.
So I looked at it and I was like, can't really wear this.
Can't do that.
But it's like really fine, you know, like it's, so
I know. It's over.
So that's how my day started.
It had to go in the garbage. You know what? How my day started, I got the motorcycle out of the garage. I was ready to go to Port Dover for Friday the 13th celebrations, and then I realized it was minus 13, so I was better off to get in the car and come here.
Can I tell the true story on how your day got started?
Sure, go ahead.
So I get a text from her around 10:45-ish.
Yeah.
Just gonna go to the local grocery store around here. I'll see you in a bit. Doesn't offer to bring me anything. I'm like, no problem. Anyway, she gets in here. 20 minutes later, where's my coffee? I left it in the car. I'm like, well, go get it. Oh, it's too cold. So
that's the whole reason I went to the grocery store.
What are you gonna do with the coffee now?
Well, I'm gonna have an iced coffee on my way home.
Iced coffee. I was talking with some of the riders from earlier today. They're very happy to see this object in the sky that looks so bright.
What is that thing called again?
Yes.
The sun. Yes.
Yeah,
It's deceivingly cold though. Like, you know, you look out the window and you see the blue sky, and if you're Robert Geller, you put your tracksuit on, you're ready to go for your jog this morning, and then you open up the door and you close the door very quickly and said, no, I think I'll take a pass.
So last night, you had a great night with your handicapping.
All right, I was okay.
No, you had a good night. Favorites, they were 2 for 9 in the program. Average win payout was $12.68. What I love is check out some of the trainers that won races yesterday. George Billers, Abraham Catrine, Julie Belhumor, John LeBlanc, Nick Nozwenko. You know, there's not a lot of Drexlers. I mean, Kevin had his wins.
Kevin had a couple, yeah.
But like no Cassie. Like some of these smaller outfits were able to have some success.
Also, Jeffrey Alderson won 2 races on the program yesterday as well. And we were just talking about him on the show yesterday, saying what a good season he had here at Woodbine as well. So he won that last race with that Julie Belhumor horse. And you brought up something very interesting on that one, because you could read in the chart line that the horse had transferred over from John Sims to Julie. And we weren't sure if it was a private purchase or if maybe John left the horse here with Julie to train. But you looked back and you found out that Julie had that horse way back in, what, 2022?
Yeah, a claim for 5 off of her, and then did very well at the Forts. And then I think you're right. I think the owner took the horse back to probably breed her at some point.
Yeah, she's 8.
Yeah,
but still, like, fantastic to see her win yesterday for the first start back in her old barn.
Awesome. Now, do you feel like you're going to have the hot hand despite the cold temperatures? Well, like, you've been really rolling for, like, I would say the last, 2 weeks.
This is my temperature.
You've been, red hot.
So. Like I told you, I have a lot of experience with these kind of claiming horses. But I feel pretty good about today's program. We'll see if we can get lucky with a few picks on today's
Now, how much did things get easier for Oscarson now with the scratch of Indy 1 in this race?
See, I wasn't too sure what to do with Indy 1 anyway. I kind of liked Indy 1, but I was just a little tentative on that one. So I did use Oscarson originally in the top spot. My thing with Oscarson as well is, you know, this horse is making the first start back since July and making it in the last 3 days of racing here. I don't think Catherine's planning to go away this winter. At least we haven't heard anything about her going away this winter. So coming back to the races for the last start of 2024, you want this horse to win, right? Because you're essentially going to put the horse back on the shelf again until next season, unless she is planning on going somewhere. Maybe we'll have to catch up with her and ask, but I think a lot of us leaning towards that horse with the fresh legs.
You know who's down at Gulfstream this year? Steve Owens. I saw that he has a horse entered tomorrow.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, so.
Well, I think if you can get out of Dodge, if you can get out of this cold weather and get somewhere warm, go.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Race number 2 on the program. We'll start off the pick 5, pool guaranteed here today at $50,000. The one thing that we have a lot over the last 3 days are fillies taking on the boys. And we've got one in here in the form of Onella. Now, I think this is a very vulnerable horse in this race at 2 to 1. I ain't touching this horse with a 10-foot pole.
Nope. There's lots of red flags there.
Smart Elmo Steve shows up as a first-time gelding. And that's another thing that we've seen, a lot of late geldings so far this year. So we'll keep a keen eye on that. But I will tell you, my good friend Elisa, she has put together a video essay in regards to a horse by the name of Today. And could today be the day?
Yeah, once again, Paul Buttigig's at home and Hayashi and all them, they're sitting in there going like, here she goes again.
Hey.
They were after Fracamacho won last week, Rick said, are you happy now? Well, yes, I am. But now I have another Buttigieg horse that I want to talk about. And that's a horse by the name of Today, who gets Sahin Savachi to do the riding this afternoon. We're going to look back at 2 races. Now, this is the first one on November the 8th, because I want to show you 2 traffic-marred trips for this horse that are great excuses for what we're going to see this afternoon, which I think is going to be a win. So we're watching here, and on this day, it's Justin Stein who's aboard. And right around here, he checks. Okay, yep, gets himself into a little bit of traffic trouble. And then after this, he gets himself rolling again. But that was a pretty hard check, I thought. And he finds the outside. And I was thinking, too, when I'm watching this, if I'm Justin, I'm a little worried about the 6 horse, because the rider on the 6 is hitting left-handed, and you're thinking, oh, come on, don't get out because you're going to push me out. But it's okay. We end up getting this nice clear path. And look at the horse's ears. You know, like this horse is really trying. Ears pinned, wants to do it, and almost gets it done. If we didn't have that incident earlier on, this horse was a winner back on November the 8th. So we come back again on November the 29th. And on the 29th, we have a different rider aboard because Justin had been hurt at that stage, right? So we have a different rider aboard in Sofia Vivez. Now, we won't have her here anymore because she's down riding in New York for the winter. But watch this trip for this horse. So right here, we can roll it. Now, you're saying to yourself, okay, I think we're sitting pretty. Sophia's got a nice position here. She's got the rail ready for her, but then watch right about here as her legs go up in front of her. She's got to check because she's got behind a slow horse, the 1 that was backing up. And now she's looking, she's saying to herself, well, I can try to get to the, can't get to the outside. Well, can't get to the outside again. Here comes the 7, can't get to. Anybody who's driven on the 401 wants to change lanes, and you always have these other cars coming up beside you, completely understand that feeling of frustration. And now we're stuck like in between a whole bunch of horses here. You can see Sophia looking to the right. She's trying to figure out where. Here she is. She's like, oh, there's a spot. I'll go with this spot. But at this time, it's too late, right? So there's 2 really good excuses, I think, as to why this horse didn't win at least one of those 2 races. Now today, we're in for $5,000 to get Sahin aboard, and he's been working magic out on the racetrack with some of the trips he's been giving these horses. But I just feel like today is the day for Today. Do you agree?
Smashing Pumpkins, Today is the greatest.
Today is the greatest.
Today is the greatest.
Keep going, Jeff.
That's about Jeff Karaoke will be taking place on December the 16th. You can join us for that. But both you and I read this race very much the same way. We're going to try and beat Onella. Star Scholar I put in second, but that's it.
I put Smart Almasty in for second because of the gelding, but I'm staying away from the 1.
No, me too. Me too. So race 2, we'll start off the pick 5. Again, the pool guaranteed here today at $50,000. Third race of the day will be at 5.5. We scratched number 5, that being Retail Therapist. I am all about horses that get hot at this time of the season, and that might be the case here with Classy Image. Really, really good right now. Do you go in that one's direction, or do you say Foolish Games has been facing My Sunny Valentine, has been stake races as of late, and now you get the big drop down in class with that one today?
I went to Classy Image because, you know, Eddie Catrine had a nice win on the program yesterday, and the second race was Super Sicily. Yeah, with Austin Adams aboard. He's got his regular rider in Campos riding this filly, Classy Image, and she can certainly show some lickety-split zip if she wants to, and she can stalk. She's a little bit versatile. What I like about her here today is that slight cutback to 5.5 furlongs, because you look at that last race at 6.5 and you say to yourself, boy, if that race was a little bit shorter, she probably would have won it. Now, I also find that Eddie gets really hot in the winter time too, late in the year. Yeah. So I'm going to use the 6 over the 2. The 2 is where we find Sahin Savachi riding for Sylvain Pion, and this is a horse that I haven't seen him on before. He's got lots of different opportunities this season since coming here from Texas. I think it's all about trying to find the right spot for her, but she's hooked up with a really tough horse in My Sunny Valentine, who's a 4-time winner here at the meet.
You ready for Jeff's geek note of this race? Look at Classy Image's last 2 starts. They've been easily the best race of her career, and they've been with the fronts off for whatever reason. She's won the fronts the majority of her career, and they took them off. Listen, I don't think it made a big difference, but it is just kind of interesting that all of a sudden the horse is really good right now. So anyway, it's just something to keep an eye on. I love the outside draw with the horse here today as well. And I was joking with Jose Campos yesterday when he walked in. I said, "Hey, this is your type of weather." And he just shook his head at me.
Yeah. The only guy whose type of weather this is, I think we agree, is Fraser.
Yeah.
Fraser Rayleigh.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So race number 3 will wrap up the first pick 3 of the day. Let's get to the 4th now. To start off the pick 4, we're going to go a mile and a 16th. We have 7 of them to choose from in this upcoming event. Okay, so Catholic Jackie's coming off a good run, and that is the only horse other than Baron Splits coming off a top 3 finish entering this race. Having said that, we have jockey changes aplenty in here. As a Carey gets a new rider, Mrs. Hotshot, Affiliate Take On the Boys gets a new rider, the 4 gets a new pilot, the 5 gets a new pilot. So lots of changes here in this race.
I stuck with the 2 that are keeping their regular rider aboard. Catholic Jackie coming in off of that second place performance last start out behind Good Sin, and then the 7 Baron Splits, who at least gave us a nice win last start out by a couple of lengths. Some of these other horses have kind of left a bad taste in my mouth lately. But yeah, you're right. There are quite a few jock changes in this race to try and shake things up. But the 6 and the 7, to me, seem like the horses. Now, I see a lot of you have used the 2, Zakari, but, you know, Zakari was dropped in for 10 on November the 1st, ran 2nd, came back for 15, ran 3rd. Last start out, dropped in for 10. I just wonder if maybe those opportunities have come and gone now for this horse. You know, like that opportunity to win, really, was the first time the horse was dropped in for $10,000.
Right. I just like the fact that we're back routing, and I like the fact that Hernandez is back aboard. The only time Hernandez rode the horse jogged. So,
but I think that was a different horse back then.
Yeah, probably. We were all different back then. But yeah, no, it's the 4th race of the day. We'll go to mile 16th. Definitely the 2 and the 6 are key contenders in that spot to start off the pick 4 wager. Let's get to the 5th now. We're going to go around 2 turns in a mile and 70 yards. Main optional 25,000 claimer in here. I honestly think my winning average in these main optional 25s for 2-year-olds this year is probably about 3%.
Really?
I have not done well in this lower category because I'm guessing all the time, you know, because you've got horses that are struggling or being outworked, or you get equipment changes or distance changes. You get all kinds of different things going on in this spot. The one horse that is actually kind of consistent in this category is Dark Thoughts in here. That's a bit of a plus. That's hard to find consistency in this category.
I would agree. And Jeffrey Alderson was very good yesterday. He won a couple of races on the program. And, you know, I think that this is the one to beat, really, coming in off of those 2 decent efforts in the last couple of races. Also, Calling Home, I don't want to leave that horse off of my ticket because now I'm onto it. Anytime I see Hernandez riding for Dale DeRusso, you've got to pay attention. And DeRusso has had a fantastic year with his babies. And, you know, here's a horse who first started out, ran 2nd in behind Conacher. And then the next started out, a bit of a bummer, going a mile and a 16th. But the fact that Hernandez is going to stick around, that kind of speaks volumes to me. So I think we might get a better price on the 7. That's the only thing I was thinking. So I went 7-8.
And the one thing I like, too, about Calling Home, if you do throw a clunker, is a comeback work. I realize it's a slow work, but whatever it was that led to that, the barn's not too worried about it. They worked the horse, and maybe it was the stumble at the starts. Who knows? Just kind of unsettled him a little bit in there.
There's a few horses, actually, over the next couple of days that we have seen break badly.
Really bad.
Like, I mean, horses that just break down to their knees, or their hind ends just aren't grabbing, right? And so for those reasons, I'm going to use some of those horses over this weekend, just thinking that poor beginning really threw a lot of them off, especially if they were front runners and they didn't find themselves where they wanted to be.
Yeah, there's one coming up on Sunday's program. Giant Teddy has had a brutal start last time.
I think Mike Mattini's horse, maybe John's horse, Cara. Same thing, broke really badly. And then it was basically over from there.
What are your thoughts on the 3? All of a sudden, Adams takes over off not a bad debut last time out for Willie Theranos.
You know, my thing with Bill is we know Bill's had a great year with his 2-year-olds, but you know, and this is one, I think he is natural 8 for whatever reason, but this is one that had kind of an interesting start. But he put Munez aboard in that first start, and we were thinking at that time, well, maybe Larry gets on horses for him in the morning, and this is his, you know, Christmas gift to him is, here you go, you can ride this horse. But it was a decent second, and now we switch over to Adams. I didn't really get a great look at this 2-year-old enough to know if maybe he's just a tiny horse and he needs to get the weight off of his back here today, because we're only going to carry 113 pounds compared to so many others that are going to carry about 121.
Well, we're going to give you another look here in a little bit. How many hours from now? 3 hours from now, we get another chance to take a look at that one. 6 on the day, we'll start off the late pick 4s. We do have 9 races. We're going to go a mile and a 16th. Okay, so Ron's best bet is Tbred.
Is it?
And
Okay.
you made Tbred your vulnerable
Yeah, I
favorites.
did.
Now, the one thing that has really thrown me for a bit of a loop is, why all of a sudden is this horse a deep closer after
Exactly.
being an all-speed horse? Now, was that something by design? Is that something they stumbled upon? Why has this horse now changed tactics so much to come from way off the pace in races?
I don't think Mike Dunslow's going to mind me talking out of shop. Like, you know, he gave me some information on this horse the one day, and we were kind of joking around too. And Mike's been a good friend over the years as well. But he said, you know, that his brother Brad had the horse. And then Brad lost him to Katerina Vasileva, right? And then Dunslow took him, Mike Dunslow took him, and he said that, you know, Brad came over and said, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, that type of a thing. And he said, no, I think I'm gonna change things up. You know, and he's trying to teach an old dog a new trick, which is to try to make this horse give you that one run. Now, we have always traditionally seen him forwardly placed and then he kind of spits it, right? So, I don't think it's an air problem because he can go around 2 turns. But is he a hold your breath kind of a horse? I just don't know. But is the idea now we'll make him relax and then we'll go with that one run? Because when they tried it for the first time on November the 1st, it worked, right? I mean, they got a good race out of him. And then, and he got himself into trouble a couple of times too. And then when he came back and tried it again, he was 12 lengths out of it. I mean, so we are trying to teach him to rate and do something completely different. And then you become a victim of the pace as well when you change things up like that. I think we'll see an off the pace effort from him here today, but I just feel that he's vulnerable because I don't know if he can do it.
Well, if he comes from off the pace, he is vulnerable because he needs pace up front.
Yeah, he needs pace, and then he's going to have to make sure he doesn't get into any kind of traffic issues, right? But if he goes to the front end, then you say, well, he'll probably spit it. That's kind of what he does. So I did put him up on top, but begrudgingly, I put him up on top.
Bucks Fizz is the bottom of your ticket?
Bucks Fizz is my next horse because the distance here. You know, we're stretching him out to go a mile and a 16th. He normally goes 7/8 of a mile. He has gone a mile and a 16th once back in 2023, or a couple of times back in 2023 with some fringe efforts.
Jack the Cattle used that one on the bottom of my ticket there in the 6th. 7th race of the day will be at 6.5 furlongs. So back a few weeks ago when I was in sick bay, very ill, very ill.
You were sick.
But I had the races on, and I remember you talking on the show about Humber River and Red Weaver, and we kind of thought that they were workout buddies because they all had similar times, similar dates, and stuff like that. And lo and behold, Tiller finishes 1-2-1 that day. And it was probably, from a betting point of view, the least preferred of the Tiller horses, because I think the other one took a little bit more money, that being Red Weaver. And here we go again. Surprise, surprise. Bob, at the end of the season, uncorks a couple of nice 2-year-olds. Because Red Weaver looks pretty good coming up a little bit later on this weekend.
Yeah, and Humber River comes in with a 73 Beyer speed figure. That's a really big number for a 2-year-old. But I want to show you a replay of a horse who really surprised me.
This is cool.
This is actually a really cool replay. This is Little Red Domi. And on this day, he's the 9 here with the Terra Racing colors. On this day, I believe he was a clocker horse. And at this point in time, I actually wasn't even in the studio. I think you were sick that day, but I was out watching this one in the race office. And I thought to myself, boy, Ernie was really way off on this one. Like, this horse isn't going to run a jump. And you can see that Sahin Savachi is like getting after him, getting after him. And then I kind of left the room. I started to walk away. I came out here into the paddock. I turned around and I'm like, who the heck is this coming? And it's Little Red Domi. Like, look at this horse put on the afterburners. It was like, it was unbelievable. This is another one of these Sahin Savachi miracle trips, right? But like, I swear to God, Jeff, when I started watching the race, I thought, this one's no good. And then all of a sudden, he surprised us. And I think he's actually named after a member of the family, too.
I think the pronunciation is, I know it's Domi, but it's Domi, I think.
Domi, and I'm going to have to remember that. But yeah.
You're so used to like Ty Domi.
Ty Domi, exactly, So, so we'll call him Little Red Domi, okay? We're going to get it right. And I just think he's a cool horse. He's my wild card on today's program. You can see I don't have him in my top 2 here, but I have the 4, Humber River, obviously, up on top. And then this 2, My Boy Bruce. And look at Robert, he's covered in hay. on his nice sweater there. But look at the smile. You know, Robert is really going to miss the horses
The horses
over
are
the
going to
winter
miss him
months.
too.
Yeah. But this is him with Tiernan, and Tiernan had a really nice victory, and he had all sorts of excuses too, because he had hooked up with some nice horses, Dark Screen, Scorching, Cocoa, all really good youngsters.
So I think, you know, at first glance you look at it, you think, well, Humber River turned the page. The problem is with Little Red Dami, you just don't know how good he is, you know, because that was one wicked kick. And I picked Double Ride on that day, and I'm thinking, and we were all watching the DePaulo chase at that point. I'm thinking, this horse is absolutely home and cooled out.
Right.
And here comes this horse.
I know. Like I said, I walked away from the TV. When I turned around, I couldn't believe my eyes.
Yeah, that's why we love the game. Race number 8 going 6.5, and the purse is $61,600 in here. 6 horses to choose from here in this spot. You know, as good a year as Dale's had, I've been a little bit disappointed with one jab too many recently.
Yeah, but she was good at the beginning,
She
right?
was, but she hasn't really taken that next step.
No.
You
And
know?
you know, maybe, and she's
a big horse.
She's a big horse.
Yeah,
So
so
maybe
maybe
the
next year.
winter, we give it some time to grow up, and then you come back next year and you're ready to fire. Plus, she does like to sprint, so she should be ready to rock, you know, right at the beginning of the season, one would think. I think the other DeRusso horse is the horse to beat in here, and that's Enchanted Forest coming in off of the second place finish. She was a winner against Maidens for a quarter, and I know she's in for 40 today, but the Barnes 2-year-olds have been phenomenal, and you know, Hernandez is going to the 6. I just told you earlier on, anytime you see Hernandez with a DeRusso horse, you better take a closer look. And he's got Flores, who's pretty much been the regular rider of Enchanted Forest, who will ride that filly. So it's the 2 DeRusso horses that really stand out to me. I'm a little, maybe a few question marks around the 6. And if I wasn't going to use, because the problem is Helena just didn't go last start out.
I just don't know if she can win for 40.
Yep. And 40, because she is a little filly, right? So those 2, just by virtue of kind of disqualifying some of the others, seem like the logical 2.
I think Dance the Rhythm was in too tough last time out. Pop Idol, can't beat those horses.
No, Pop Idol's an amazing horse.
It was really good. So 8th race, we'll start off the late double. Let's get to race number 9. I did giggle when I was handicapping this race because I jumped off the bandwagon and now I'm back on with Dream.
That is so funny. Yeah, I saw Dream's name pop up and I saw the $10,000 price tag and I'm like, oh, put a circle around that. I don't know if we'll get the price that they've got him at the morning line.
I don't know either.
Yeah, he's like 8-1 morning line. I'm like, oh, that's going to be sweet. But I highly doubt he'll go off at that price. If he's anywhere close to 5-1, though, play him because he's pretty neat.
You know, his last start looks bad, but he's not.
Against Dryden, though.
Yeah, you can't beat Dryden.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Like he's not beating Dryden.
No.
So
and, you know what? With him, he's bounced back from bad races in the past.
He has, yeah. So I used him on top. So did you? Okay.
Yep.
And then I have the 7 Valley Victory, this Ted Holden. But to be honest, I scratched onto the 7 because I did have the 9 horse originally in the second place spot. That one's a Stewart scratch.
What do you think about Winston Blue? Do you think it's long enough at 6.5? Like, do you think he can get up going 6.5? Because he's good enough. I just don't know if 6.5 is long enough for him in here. But he's facing easier competition.
He's taken for a quarter and he's in for 10.
Yeah, that's not great.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few horses in this race. Well, I mean, Sugar It's Eli's was taken for only $5,000, but this time of season, it's like that horse earlier on that we're staying away from, right?
The filly?
The Onella.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're starting to see some horses show up that were claimed for, $25,000 and they're resurfacing for $5,000 and $10,000. It makes you wonder a bit.
Plays of the day. Let's take a look at those for you, and we will have a special guest coming up here momentarily. Let's go first of all to you with your 4 notes on today's program.
So we talked about today as my single for the afternoon's program. Jaybird is my vulnerable favorite, but if he wins, I'd be happy for Mike. Dream is my price play at 8-1 in the last, and then Little Red Dami is my wild card because I just don't know what we're going to see from him. I hope it's another exciting finish.
So I made my wild card Oscarson because of the drop. I could see the horse win. I could see the horse finishing 4th. It's my price play, my buddy Dream. My vulnerable favorite is going to be Onella coming up in race number 2. And my singles will be Classy Image. I just think that she's really, really good right now, and she gets a beautiful outside draw.
I like what you did today. Instead of going top to bottom, you went bottom to top.
Well,
change things up.
Gotta change it up. Foolish Games, that's where Doug's going to go with his best bet of the day for Michelle Love, thinking that maybe the horse can get to the front end here today. And Ron's best bet's coming up in race number 6, that being Tbred. And that one going into the starting gates for conditioner Mike Dunslow. And does Mike get bragging rights if he's able to win with Tbred and Brad Wesley? Maybe. We've got a clock horse for you coming up in race number 3 on the program. This one's a fast one. This is Maximum 50, who's likely to show a little bit of pace in this race for conditioner Bob Tiller. Probably wasn't too tough last time out, I would think, and now is back in a more realistic category in here. And Daisuke Fukumoto will be aboard for conditioner Tiller here in this spot. I think that Bob could have a really good closing days here.
Oh yeah,
he
absolutely.
Looks loaded for Bear.
Absolutely, because don't forget, we both like that 2-year-old that he has on today's program, but the horse who ran second is back in. So that's a good one that you're going to want to probably put a circle around for this weekend as well.
I think in the last race, got 3 Sunny Side Up on Sunday, so he might win the final race of the day.
Yeah. He's got a few horses that I've used in the top spot over the next couple of days.
Okay. That's it. You want to hear from the guy from upstairs. We know that. It's Robert Geller. He'll be with us after this commercial break, and we'll go down memory lane for 2024.
Love horse racing? HPIBet.com is Canada's leader in online horse betting. Access thousands of live races from hundreds of tracks worldwide instantly. Enjoy the most advanced betting tools like AI Smart Picks and exclusive cashback rewards you won't get anywhere else. Join today and get up to $100 in free bets. Get the ultimate horse betting experience with HPIBet.com.
Race number 1 coming up in about 25 minutes from now. It is View
Look at
from
this.
the Booth.
Did you see that? Did you see that animation with Robert in there?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never seen that
We've
before.
had that all year. Where the heck have you been?
I haven't seen it either. What was it?
It's you looking through a pair of binoculars.
Oh.
Anyways, we have some breaking news that I have to pass along. You guys, Oscarson.
Well, I want to know where mine is. Remember, we keep saying, like, when are we going to go into
Winter
it?
Project.
All
Winter
right.
Project. Oscarson's a first-time gelding coming up in race number 1.
That's
so
a big
that's
move.
obviously very significant there. I don't know how to make a segue from that to Robert, but here he is. Robert Geller is with us here. You know, Robert, you did something that not too many people do. You actually listened to me because I said, Robert, I'm going to give you some homework. And you've done your homework, and you've done very, very well. I said,
yes, you put a challenge.
I said, Robert, we
big challenge.
want some of the, we know about Caitlin, her greatness and all. We know
Right.
about all the
big
big
stuff,
horses.
right.
But
Yeah.
we want to know some of the kind of stories that kind of flew under the radar a little bit here in 2024.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I hope we have achieved because I picked 3.
All right.
And there's a horse that I think has really got under the radar. And the first of the 3 is Stormcast.
Right.
I really think she will go out of the 2024 season with a magnificent record. And what caught my attention was this particular race where she just devastated them on the front end. And I may have thought right then and there, why didn't she run in the Oaks?
I know.
Why didn't she even go for the King's Plate? She was devastating, and she won by 7 3/4 lengths. And she looked like she could have gone around again. And to her credit, she came back 2 starts ago, or 2 starts later, and won again in a stakes race, the Bessarabian. She had run second in a mighty great race on the turf to Hurricane Claire. And so Stormcast to me was a bit of a sleeper. And Patrick Husbands in that win, I think, just showcased how very talented she is.
And you know, Lisa, how many quirky horses Mark has?
Yeah, he has
she's
a
one of
lot
them.
this year. And this one was quirky because of the silks. Remember that?
Yeah.
Because she heard the silks,
Flapping.
flapping in the wind, and
she
that
took
scared her.
off in
She
the race
took off
before
in a
that.
race.
Why don't we do that a lot?
Because Literate beat her.
Yeah.
And then she came back and won that race.
That's really
Yeah.
interesting. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Just when
Good
you think
years.
you've heard everything in the sport of horse racing.
It was like the car this morning that had a BMW with one of those vinyl things on the top and it was flapping. Ah, maybe that's what you need. Great race by that horse, but great performances from Mark Cassidy-Barn always. But I think that one got under the radar.
Now, one of our horse crushes makes it on to
Yes.
spot number 2 on your list.
Our heart on our sleeve,
Yes.
Wicked Django.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
And I have to also preempt by saying, Kevin Nichols' performance this season, amazing.
Top-notch.
He deserves an award for his ROI. Here is one of the examples. Wicked Django, who we had given up on, Jeff.
I know.
Only to see this amazing orange silk move coming around the outside, grabs them all, and not just that, then just drills them in the stretch in what was a mighty good field. And I think that Wicked Django finally put together what we had always hoped, and at 24-1 odds, the crowd erupted. I could sense the energy of Rodney Barrow and his team. And even of Krista, who's been such a big part of this story. Krista Cole and Rodney Barrow deserved the success with Wicked
And
Django.
remember, we were so upset because of the blinkers, he couldn't have his
He couldn't have his
forelock.
forelock sticking out.
So, but the blinkers, I think, made a world
Well, the
difference.
blinkers made a big difference there.
Yeah.
He's a neat
great
old horse.
move.
He is.
A
He's
lot
cool.
of people were watching him since day one this season, and then we all got what we wanted when he won that stake. Yeah.
But number 1, this is amazing. Like this, like a Hollywood writer could not come up with this story that happened for your number 1 moments.
No, because the number one moment, and I could feel the crowd, was when Fashionably Fab
Yes,
under David
yes,
Moran
yes.
moved into contention at the top of the stretch in what was the Ontario Matron Stakes, taking the ride from his son Pietro, who had been out of action injured, and everyone wanted to see this result, and we got it. There is Fashionably Fab in the yellow cap, green silks, and what a great trying horse. Who'll be in on the weekend. This move was phenomenal. And then the challenge from Elysian Field coming up the rail made this such an exciting finish.
Yeah. And you know what, too? I've seen David Moran ride thousands of races. That was the most flawless ride I think he's ever given. And I remember talking to him afterwards. He goes, "Well, I almost felt like somebody was with me during the ride."
That's cool.
You know?
You know what I thought? I thought that looked like Dave Moran was 29 years old. Like, it was an amazing ride. And I like her this weekend, too, to win, don't you?
Oh, she's so honest. And there's a moment we're going to see on here is the very lovely moment where he recognizes his son, Pietro, who was a phenomenal performer this season.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
And
that
that was
moment
when-
was really special.
That was
yes.
when Pietro couldn't even be here
Right.
at that
Right.
time, right?
He called
Yeah.
David
numerous times
to tell his dad how to ride the horse. Like, can you imagine,
great.
like this, your 19-year-old kid saying, "Dad, this
Yeah.
is how you ride the horse."
It was just
it was-
a feel-good
it was
moment
great.
for
It
all of
was
us.
great.
And
It was.
as you say, though, the filly herself, the mare, she is amazing.
Yeah,
Oh,
she is.
you know, I can't keep tracks because she keeps winning and winning. And she's progressed. Kevin Attard, terrific season, of course. I know there's so many others. You know, Full Count Felicia. I could go on with a horse. Truly Quality caught my eye.
The Day
Dresden
Hunt
Road
Master
caught my
won.
eye. Hunt Master's back. We've had some great stories, but those 3 for me, kind of under the radar.
What type of grade should we give him? He did a pretty good
That was
assignment.
pretty awesome. He gets an A+
I
from
think
me.
we give him an A+. Job well done, my
Job well
friend.
done. I can go on vacation.
Job well done. Job well done. Yeah, not yet though. Sunday nights, race
Sunday night.
14. You can take off. You can take off. Robert, thank you, and again, thank you for your great calls this season.
Thank
too.
you. Thanks for having me on. It's been a real pleasure.
Yes,
Thank you very
yes.
much.
Awesome stuff. 19 minutes away from race number 1. We'll get you all set for the opener coming up momentarily. It's our final Friday of the season here at Woodbine.